It's hard to speculate about the future, except the fact that what's going on now cannot subsist. It's going to come to an end, but how it comes to an end is an open question. Now, onto conspiracies. I think you hit the nail on the head. The fact that conspiracy theories of all types, some very schizophrenic, some more or less rational, it's evidence of the fact that people don't feel like the democratic institutions are reflecting them. They are sensing some kind of infernal forces which are somehow acting behind the scenes without democratic accountability. And they're struggling to pin down what that is. So they come up with all sorts of ways of explaining that. Some are totally whack job. You have a rise of anti-Semitism, for an example, in a very limited sense because of this. You have reactionary politics, which is a response to this. It's trying to explain what this conspiracy is. And what Marxism endeavors to do is to try and give a real explanation for this conspiracy, and in some sense to have a people's conspiracy, which may be something of a radical thing to say. But
I like that.
It's a people's conspiracy against the elite. When the Canadian truckers were going on strike, not that long ago, what was the American left's and the Canadian left's response? It was condemnation. It was, these are fascists. These are white supremacists. Now, why were they saying that? These are working class truckers. These are the bread and butter of the American and Canadian economy. Saying that because of their ideological stance, the fact that their consciousness is not at the level of socialist consciousness in their view. Their view, by the way, being a product of the universities, of the state. We still believe that there is a duty for the party to be rooted in the people, rooted in the masses. Just like Lenin believed. The party may be small, but it needs to reflect the will of the people. And when we talk about a people's conspiracy, all we mean is to have a partisan party that's fighting on behalf of the people, which is able to meet the transformations that are at work by the elites with our own transformations. If I can put it a bit radically, there's going to be a great reset either way. Okay, this is the language of the great reset. That's going to happen either way. It's inevitable. It's a part of historical materialism. This results from actually existing political economy today. The duty of Marxists is to form a party that can lead the people through this, that doesn't land them in a kind of precarious situation, that doesn't mean that they own nothing and be happy, but returns them to a state where they run their country, where they feel like they are represented in their country, where they're not alienated in the ways that they are exposed to today. And I think this is very important for Marxists in America to grasp, that there's an objective element, like you said, in scientific socialism. It's not simply imagining a utopia, a fiction, and imposing on the world. It's discovering what is real about socialism today and trying to reflect this in a politically conscious manner.
Yeah, I think that's quite valuable, and probably what I'm going to say next is going to be treading on a very dangerous territory, because many of the languages that from the right or left on the conspiracy side seems to reflect some of the languages during the revolutionary time. For example, the Great Reset itself is fundamentally a class revolution, and the ideal of what you just said, the people's conspiracy, is what we described as people's consciousness or working class consciousness. The consciousness cannot just being bestowed upon you. Consciousness needs to grow from below, and the consciousness is also not only just an intellectual movement. It is a physical, it is a realistic, it is a life experience that you acquire this consciousness through struggle. The language of struggle again emerged, kind of corresponds to the conspiracy theories language. So to that aspect of, I have to confess that I come with a suspicion, but now I think what you just described, based on what you just described, the mega communism seems to have some sort of a common ground that we could discover.
And the other thing is, like, the term conspiracy theorist in America has become such a muddied and funny term because, 5 years ago, if someone was called a conspiracy theorist in the press, it was, you're blackballed, you're not allowed on the news stations. If you're called a conspiracy theorist now, what that means is, in America, that you just got the news correct, maybe 2 months too early. If you said that Europe's economy was going to suffer by sanctioning Russia, you were called a conspiracy theorist. But now, average Americans, when they hear the term conspiracy theorist, just like how they hear the term misogynist or in some, not brash cases like racist even. It's just become such a muddy term that's overused by the liberal establishment that it's almost, conspiracy theory specifically, is almost like an empowering term.
Yeah, but we also have to acknowledge that the term conspiracy theory is a very overarching terminology, right? Within the conspiracy theory, there are extreme sort of very bonkers idea that COVID you could inject some sort of weird stuff, chips inside your body to combat COVID or to get COVID, whatever, or be spread. I don't know. I saw it from one of the windows of my neighbor that posted the bees spread COVID. I can't imagine. But on the other hand, exactly like what you said, helping Ukraine would backfire on the United States. That kind of, we could trace it back to the overarching hegemonic media control in the States, which is precisely capitalist function, one of the crucial mechanism in the capitalist machine, the controlled state, the controlled media, not by any sort of other organization, but by the capitalists. They're constantly feeding, and that sort of also has the element plays in a university. Elite education is also part of that mechanism, right?
Yeah, 100%.
When you say there's collusion, there's conspiracy between involved in the Epstein case, people would call you a conspiracy theorist, and now it's been increasingly proven.
Exactly. Or like Russiagate, for example. If you said that there was no collusion between Trump and Russia, you were called a conspiracy theorist back then. The American public has faced so many of these like key litmus test issues that the media has condemned everyone for questioning over the past 5 years, that now it's, and sometimes, as you mentioned, it does get into shaky territories, but it causes people to literally question everything.